Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to it. We are getting ready for a very big show in a few moments. Dante's Inferno, the 9 circles of hell, plus so much more. Are you ready? Fasten your seatbelts. Welcome to the review report. Here we go. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, George, for the Reveal Report on a Monday with our guest, Gary Wayne, going to be joining me momentarily. What a show we are going to get into. The topic is Dante's Inferno, the 9 circles of hell that he discusses. However, we're also going to touch on Enoch and a few other things. Incredible stuff. If no one's ever broken it down, what a show we have for you. And I'm telling you, it's going to be great. Let's begin first with thanking a few people for making the show possible. Number one, I have to give a shout out to Miss Lisa M. Miss Lisa M, thank you so much for supporting me on Venmo. Again, for everyone wanting to support the show, to keep the first hour on YouTube and not exclusive to Patreon. I'm no longer on PayPal, just on Venmo. Lisa M from day one supporting, sent me a nice message today. I can't wait to hear Gary. Can't wait to see Jesse in the after show. Keep it going. So thank you to her for sending a little donation. If you can help, it goes a long way, guys, on Venmo. There it is. On Venmo right now, user account, George Iceman. Everything goes a long way. $20, $30. It goes a long way for the research, for the work, for the effort, the energy, and the time to do this show. The first hour on YouTube, the second hour, the after show on Patreon. So again, guys, if you can, please show your love, please show your support. Keep this thing going. Everything helps. It means a lot. Thank you so much. Big show coming up. Last week, we talked about dangerous magic rituals with Jesse. We got into some deep, scary stuff. It was pretty amazing. The show's up. Take a look. Tonight, we get into Dante's Inferno. Next week, we got a very special guest. We're going to talk about something very strange, guys. We're going to talk about spirit communication. And there's a gentleman who has a collection of spirit boards and devices that go back very, very long time in how to communicate with spirits. He's even got something called a spirit trapper. We're going to hear from him. We're going to talk to him about these things, these devices, and what has happened in his life with these things. He's got like a museum, so I'm curious to hear what he has to say. And then we have another guest coming on who's a collector of very rare occult books. These are very rare books. They're traded on the marketplace. Many people in different magic circles go for these books. These books can be dangerous in many ways if you don't know what you're doing, especially when they were used in certain rituals and then passed on. So I'm curious to see his collection as he gets into it, discusses it, to let you people know that there is danger in the art of the occult. Even though it's hidden knowledge, sometimes you get down a deep rabbit hole you might not be able to get out. So we warn you on that, guys. Be aware. All right, let's not waste any time. I want to bring on my guest who recently has become somewhat of a legend in this field. He never gives himself enough credit, but he is indeed a legend in his field. Within 5 years, he's written several books. He's got more on the way. He's on major podcasts, major shows. He's doing millions and millions of views. and he still reaches out and says, hey, George, I am available. I will continue to give my energy and time to your audience. I love your audience, and I love sharing the information. For those that are new here, this is a master class when listening to Gary Wayne. You might have to go back, do a little research, because he gets into things for a very high level and a very high standard when it comes to breaking down biblical terminology, bloodlines, theories, and the occult. So without further ado, please welcome the one and only Mr. Gary Wayne. Gary, welcome back.
Well, thank you for inviting me back, and thank you for the introduction. I'm not so sure I'll be able to live up to all the hype on that, but I will try my best. That's all I can do.
I appreciate it, Gary. Now, I know you're in the cottage and you're trying to spend some time with the family and rest from what you do and relax. So we apologize. We're crimping on your time, but I know you like to make time for the people, so it means a lot. I'm going to get into it. Dante's Inferno. It's a topic, not a lot of shows get into it, and the other ways it goes about it. We'll begin with that. I want to play a quick video on social media about Dante. And that's our introduction, and then we'll let you take it from there. So turn up your volumes and take a listen a little bit about whom this Dante is who wrote Dante's Inferno. Here it is.
He was exiled from his city, but he carved his name into eternity. In the heart of medieval Italy, where swords settled politics and faith defined identity, a poet stood alone, between heaven and earth. His name was Dante Alighieri. He wasn't a saint. He wasn't a king. He was just a man with a pen and a soul on fire. Born in Florence in 1265, Dante believed in justice, beauty, and a woman named Beatrice, who he loved from afar and who died young. When politics turned, Florence turned on him. He was banished, stripped of home, honor, and every familiar street. But in exile, Dante found something greater. He began to write, not just verses, but a journey through the afterlife itself. He called it the Divine Comedy, and in it, he walked through hell, purgatory, and paradise. Guided first by reason, then by love. He named names. He questioned popes. He put kings in hell and peasants in heaven. Because to Dante, sin wasn't about rituals. It was about truth. His words gave Europe not just literature, but a mirror. He gave the world its first psychological map of the soul, its darkest fears, its longings, its salvation. And though he died in exile, Florence would later build him monuments. Too late for him, but not for history. This is Chronicles of Spirit. Follow for more stories of exile, vision, and the voices who wrote their way into forever.
A little something about Dante. There it is. What are your thoughts on what they said? And take it away, Gary.
Yeah, when I look at the introduction of the individual, it's all propaganda, I think. And how they talk about his work is all propaganda as well. This fellow had to be a very, very high level of degree in mysticism to do what he did. And he's obviously was part of the elite, the establishment, in terms of the banishment that's being talked about with him. And he may have gotten offside a little bit with the Roman Church, probably did. And he wrote, something that most people look at as a classic and a Christian classic, if you can believe that. But it's nothing but occult imagery that's in there. And he's doing his occult belief system in plain sight with that writing. So it's a comedy, yes, so that it can be taken without sort of prejudice against whoever he's speaking to, kind of like what comics do today, if that sounds familiar. And also, I would say, and what they don't talk about it, but it's more of a satire or satire, because he's actually talking against the hegemony or the hegemony. He's talking against the powers, and from the biography, talking against people who were kind of oppressing him. He's going after his enemies to a certain degree, I think. So, and it's interesting about a satire is that really goes back to the Greek word and Hebrew word satyr for satyr god, for that type of writing. And what's also quite interesting with this style of writing, it's called from the grotesque. How does that really sound like a Christian sort of way of doing writing?
No.
And so there's grotesque things that he does, grotesque characters, and that's why it's called grotesque in terms of the style. So is this an important piece of work? Yeah, it does. It is important, but we need to understand why it's important. We need to understand that he is representing to us, not in the way it's being described to us by the people who support this narrative of the book, but he is showing a hierarchical order of things. That is the hierarchy of the fallen angels and also of the spurious offspring that's involved here. And things are inside out and upside down. So it's a complete sort of hide behind the superficial aspect of it, and each thing has special occult meaning. And it is what they call it as a divine journey to God.
Okay.
But where are they going? They're going into the other world, the underworld, Hades, Sheol. That's not a divine trip to God.
Yeah.
And of course, Satan is at the bottom as you get through all the different gates, which is not really talked about, but it's shown in your imagery there. But nine gates,
and
nine
we'll talk
realms
about it. Yep.
is very, very important as people are on this quest to godhood to be in the light of Lucifer. So I'll leave it at that, just to sort of set the table that this could be looked at as a very marvelous piece of literature, but it's not Christian literature, and we should know that.
Very well said. All right, Gary, I'm going to play another video of what people on social media, what they say hell is, or explained by Dante. Take it for as you will. And then I'm going to put up a picture of the different levels so we could break that down. Very interesting stuff. I'm very curious to get your take. So this is one video that the young generation discuss and their take of Dante's Inferno, or that what they found most interesting about Dante's Inferno. I'll play it. This is the stuff that you'll see on Twitter, Instagram. So here it is.
The deepest part of hell, it's not fire.
So
You know
what is it?
It's cold. And
What?
it's freezing. What's crazy, right?
Yeah.
They always said in Dante's Inferno, it's underneath the world
Yeah.
and it's ice cold and everything's suffering brisk cold.
I know where you're going with
Check
this.
this out. What is under all of civilization?
Oh.
Antarctica.
Yeah,
World,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
If you
yeah.
look at the globe, all of the regular civilization is here.
Yep.
Underneath us is Antarctica.
Yeah.
And it's the coldest. Now, they say in the deepest part of hell
Yeah.
was all of the beasts and all of the fallen angels that God punished, right?
Wait, so in the ocean or in thing?
in Antarctica,
In
that's
Ant-
where they're trapped. They're frozen.
Oh, they're
And
frozen.
when the apocalypse comes,
Yeah.
that's when they get thawed out, and then that's when you start to see like the Leviathan,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
beast,
yeah.
all of the things in Revelation.
Oh my
So
gosh.
people theorize that the hell they're talking about
Yeah.
is Antarctica.
Yes, because why is it so heavily guarded?
Very interesting take. First, what's your take on the video? And then we'll get into the different circles of hell that Dante created.
Yeah, I don't know if that got any viewership or not, but it probably should not have.
Yeah. It probably got about 1 million plus views.
Yeah, I
on
know.
TikTok and
I
video.
know.
Yeah.
And they are excited, but Antarctica is on the surface of the Earth. It's not in the Earth. It's not under the Earth. And, you know, when we look at hell, there's more than one term that's encapsulated in hell from a biblical perspective. So hell is the place that we know as Hades and Sheol,
Mhm.
Hebrew and Greek. And it's also the location where the pit prison is,
Mhm.
somewhere in Hades and Sheol. And then there's the lake of fire. Three distinct concepts that have been wrapped into one term. in the Bible, and they should be translated directly either as Sheol or Hades for the underworld, as the pit prison, and the lake of fire. We don't know exactly where that is. Could be in that same dimension or could be somewhere else. We're not really told where hell is, but what we do know is that is the place that is reserved for the devil and his fallen angels and those who take the mark of the beast. And I'm sure throughout our history, there's been other humans that have crossed the line that will be going to the lake of fire as well, and also for the spurious offspring that never repented.
Okay. Where should we begin here? Let me pull up first. Let me pull up Dante's visual, his explanation of what that is. Well, let's break it down and talk about it, because then there's a Christianity one where they believe there's seven or eight different hells. They have a different version. Enoch has one. I want to touch on all of them within the period of time. Let me bring up this first one. Here's a visual. Dante's Inferno, 9 circles of hell. We have limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, anger, heresy, violence, fraud, treachery, and then Satan. But it is in a cold place with ice. Strange his take. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, that's the standard sort of 9 realms of the underworld, just labeled through sort of what we would understand biblically as bad behavior, and an allegory for what those places really are, and not in a place of what we would call a lake of fire that Satan is in, but Satan isn't in the lake of fire yet. He won't be sent there until at the end of the millennium. And so what they're saying within this sort of imagery here is they're saying there's ice below the earth or in another dimension.
Yeah.
Now, there's a distinction there. Is that in another dimension or is that in the earth? And there's 2 places. There's in the earth, and then there's in the earth in another dimension where Hades and Sheol is located. In the book of Enoch, where the watchers are being held in the pit prison that Enoch is shown, they're in this interesting prison where it shows fire and ice.
Yes.
But again, that's not the lake of fire. That's a holding prison until the complete indictment is finished and the age of that we're in right now comes to a close. And then they'll be sent to the lake of fire. So it is likely that this is representing the pit prison there, but without the fire, because everything in polytheism has to make the fire go away. Why? Because it destroys them at the end. They can't acknowledge that, right? But they can recognize half of the truth with possibly the ice. So I think there's a good possibility that part of the ice is sort of half right on that. And I would also note that Satan is not in the pit prison yet either. He goes there for 1,000 years at the end of the last 7 years, and then after that he goes to the lake of fire. So again, the details are important, but what we do get is this divine quest as Dante's protagonist is going through this journey, this divine journey to God. Where's he going to?
Yeah.
He's going to Satan to be in Lucifer's light.
Wow.
And
that's your take, Gary, that you believe he is talking about getting to Lucifer because he believes that he is the light. He's obviously a part. If he's saying that, or you're alluding to that, it would mean he was part of one of the ancient schools of wisdom, one of those schools. He was part of a particular group, because they're the ones who would teach that. You wouldn't get that in everyday life. So he would have to belong to a special group or one of the ancient mystery schools.
And an adept of a high level.
Has to be. If
Has
he's
to
going
be.
to break this down and attack aristocrats, royalty,
Yes.
those of finer money, he obviously has something on his side. He has some type of power on his
Yeah.
side. Because a regular person, you would know, Gary, who said that, would be outlawed. That was
Yeah.
then. We
You'd be
outlaw.
dead. You'd be dead.
You'd be dead. Imagine what we do to them now. I mean,
Yeah.
you could
So
see
he
what
has
we do to them now.
friends. He has friends to protect him, and he has power to protect himself. So when we look at the occult, their heaven isn't the same heaven where God is at. Their heaven is Hades or Sheol, where their gods rule from.
Yeah.
So what it's saying is that Satan is at the top, even though, as I said, upside down and inside out, he's at the bottom. He's actually at the top of the hierarchy of everything, being at the bottom, if that made sense to
Yeah.
people, as being upside down.
Yeah.
And so when the giants were on earth and ruling, they wanted to receive wisdom. So when they died, their disembodied spirits that wouldn't go to heaven and wouldn't go to sleep could find its way to the other world where their gods were located.
Mhm.
Baal in the Bible comes from the underworld, where he rules from, and he comes through the gate of Hades through at certain periods. Some people say days, seasons, whatever the period is, to inspect the physical realm, whereas Council of Gods is also located physically, just as he has a Council of Gods located within the other world, or Nibiru, as the earth that would be the place of inspection for Anu before the flood and Anki and Alil after the flood. But they would rule from Nibiru Ki, which is Nibiru, but in the Nibiru of a crossing. Nibiru of the earth with Ki at the end is the planet. The RU is the crossing, and this is that interdimensional travel that is talked about in the Ugaritic text, with Baal coming to inspect his empire at Mount Saphon, or the mountain of the north, which is Mount Hermon, not over by Tyr, where they show it. I actually did a show just on this. Mount Hermon's called the mountain of the north. That's Hebrew Saphon, same Semitic word for Mount Saphon that's used in the Ugaritic text, which means north. And yeah, and that's where the gateway of Hades that Baal would come through is located.
And we discussed this, and that's where Enoch went to as well. Okay, since we're on that. So again, there's different takes and everyone's hell and their interpretation. So we're presenting it from a different direction. See how you presented it in a completely different light, where we didn't just get into it, but we talked about the possible connection to the ancient schools that he would have attended, or the groups that he would have belonged to say these things publicly or put them in an actual book. He was a connected guy in our community. He would be a very high up in society.
Yes. He's definitely an elim or elite, a noble one.
100%.
Absolutely.
He's not a regular Jew, because he would have been destroyed much earlier before he got to that book.
And his writing would have been approved by the polytheist royals, because they're presenting 9 realms of the underworld in his allegory there.
Yeah.
Those aren't sins. Those are the 9 realms that's in their teaching.
In their teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a take, but there's a lot to this and different interpretations. So I want to reach to our next interpretation. And we've discussed Enoch. And then after that one, there's a Christian format of what they think 7 or 8 hells. We'll get into that one.
Well,
first, let's play this one.
Well,
this
just before you get into that, we didn't really talk a whole bunch about Enoch. Enoch talks about this extensive trip into the underworld.
Correct.
And it's not clear whether it's in the earth or in another dimension, but as you get into it, in terms of the locations that they're talking about, it's a massive place. Mm-hmm. There are mountain ranges, valleys. It's just huge in different locations. Even a couple of places where God sets up his throne when he goes there.
Yeah. So he gets into it again. People will read it and they'll have their takes. This is one of their takes. Let me play it and get your take on it. So here's one of the interpretations. Take a listen.
Did you know Enoch was taken to 5 different levels of hell? Enoch was led into a massive mountain carved open, where he saw 4 separate chambers within Sheol itself. One was bright and peaceful, a resting place for the righteous awaiting resurrection, but the other 3 were hells, dark realms of pain and separation. One held sinners who escaped justice during their lifetime. Another punished the wicked who had already been judged. And the third was reserved for the utterly corrupt, those with no hope of return at all. But Enoch's journey didn't stop there. He was then shown a sealed abyss, a prison created specifically for fallen angels. These watchers were bound in darkness, restrained until the day of final judgment, unable to escape the sentence pronounced against them. This place was separate from Sheol and unlike anything prepared for humans. Finally, Enoch was shown a future hell of fire, a place not yet active, prepared for the ultimate destruction of all rebellion, both human and angelic. This was not a temporary holding place, but the final end of corruption itself. According to Enoch, hell is layered, judicial, and precise, not random or symbolic, and this entire system was removed from the Bible.
First take on this video. What are your thoughts? And then we'll get into those 4 levels.
Yeah, I think when he's talking about these 4 levels, I think there's getting to be some license there to add the occult stuff into it that's not written into the book of Enoch. And so that's how you know when they take something that might be written about from within the physical earth where Enoch would have went to by the trip, if that's part of the original book of Enoch, because we don't have the original manuscript. But they've usurped that to use as a platform for their belief system in terms of that aspect, and that they would look at, even though this narrator didn't describe it as an unjust imprisonment. That's how the occult would look at the imprisoned giants and the imprisoned gods or fallen angels that are in the pit prison. And so when we look at the sections that would be written about within the book of Enoch, I would look at that in terms of those 4 or 5 areas that they were referencing. Those would be more physical realms versus where the pit prison would be located in another dimension. So, but again, I mean, 4 or 5 is not standard in the occult.
No.
So they've added stuff in there that has been used throughout the Roman Church, places like purgatory, which we don't have scripture for.
Mm-hmm.
We have Abraham's bosom, but it's a parable, right? And Jesus provides the moral of the story for us.
Correct.
So we can't use that, and we're told humans go to sleep, and our spirits will go back in that state to heaven. But we also know giant spirits are different. But it goes back to this understanding of the spurious offspring that have this strong tradition of living in the earth. And some would even have interdimensional capabilities. But what we do know is many groups actually live in the earth. Now, maybe there's 4 or 5 groups of those people that actually live in the earth, like the reptilians.
Uh-huh.
Right? And what I would suggest that the Lord of the Rings is talking about with those kinds of spurious offspring that would be recorded in the Norse occult oral tradition that comes down of the 9 divisions of the other world.
Yeah. So breaking down this photo, we have Sheol. How do you pronounce it? Sheol, Sheol. How do you pronounce it? Because it comes up in conversation many times. We've discussed it in different topics and interpretations. What's your pronunciation for it?
Yeah, I mean, everybody does pronounce it a little bit different. I generally say Sheol, and I try and recognize the W that would be in part of the sounding behind the O.
Okay. And then we have Hades, Gehenna, if I'm pronouncing that right,
Yep.
and the lake of fire. Let's talk about the lake of fire for a moment. We've heard about
Yeah.
this in different stories and theories and takes. The lake of fire, would that be the final one, or is there one more after that that you would think?
No, I think that's. I'm not sure what you're saying with the final one, but if you're talking about the four names that are
Final
up
level.
there,
Yeah.
final level. Okay, Lake of
Yeah.
Fire may not even be in the earth. It may be
There you go.
somewhere else. We're not told where that is.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that there's a tradition in the Quran that talks about the jinn and two levels of jinn. And so like Iblis would be a jinn, which is is the word used for Satan. But the top level jinn were made from the smokeless fire. That's kind of sounds like the lake of fire, something to do with that.
Yeah.
So if they're created from the smokeless fire, maybe they're destroyed with the lake of fire, but it's likely not in the earth, but
Yeah.
we don't have scripture for its exact location.
100%.
So I want to be clear for it. And Hades and Sheol are the same location.
The same location.
One's Greek and one's Hebrew, are the same
So-
place.
So this-
Gehenna is an allegory of an event that took place in the Bible where people were burned, to sort of use the imagery of the lake of fire or destruction by fire.
Interesting you said that Hades and Sheol are the same place, but they interpret them in two different levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one's Hebrew, one's Greek. That's what means the same place. So it's Nibruki.
So Sheol is said that is the Hebrew term for Hades. Is that
Yep.
correct?
Correct.
Yeah, very good. All right, let's get into the next one, and then we'll break it down. So the final one I want to touch on is a Christian ideology that they put out. There's like 7 layers of hell or so forth. Let me play this video. I thought it was very interesting on their interpretation of it, and then get your take. It's a lot to take in, guys. As you can see, hell isn't just one place. Different cultures, different ways, different theories, but we're going to try and simplify it for everybody. So take a look at this, and then we'll get into it. Here it is.
Did you know Enoch was taken to 5 different...
Hell has levels. The Bible doesn't teach one hell. It teaches 7, each for different sins. Some are temporary, some are eternal. First, Sheol, the grave, a shadowy place where all dead go, righteous and wicked. Second, Abaddon, the place of destruction. Third, the pit, for those who rebel against God. Fourth, Tartarus, reserved for fallen angels, not humans. Fifth, Gehenna, the valley of Hinnom, where child sacrifices were made. Jesus used it as a symbol of fiery judgment. Sixth, the bottomless abyss, where the beast will rise. Seventh, the lake of fire, the final destination for death, hell, and all whose names aren't in the book of life. Most of these are temporary. Only the lake is forever. The book of Enoch and rabbinic tradition say hell has levels. Murderers go to one level, idolaters to another, hypocrites to the worst. Those who hurt the poor are purified in fire, but not destroyed. Some souls are released after a time. Others are tormented forever. Jesus warned about outer darkness and weeping and gnashing of teeth, but he also said some will be beaten with few stripes and some with many. That's degrees of punishment. The good news, Jesus holds the keys to death and hell. Revelation 1:18, he can pull you out of any level. He descended into Sheol and preached to the spirits. He holds the keys. You don't have to go down. You can go up.
Interesting take. 7 levels. What are your thoughts, Gary?
Yeah, so they like to use the word Sheol as in she, as in a demonic spirit, right? Understand how they mix.
Oh, okay.
It's like
I
this,
see
the
that take.
Sidhe people, Sidhe, but there's several different ways to pronounce that. So Abaddon is a Hebrew word, but Abaddon is a title for the destroyer, for likely Azazel and Greek Apollyon, who's the leader of the fallen angels who comes up out of the pit prison. So it's not a location. Abaddon is the root word in Hebrew, which can mean to destroy, but it isn't a specific location, and it's not used as a specific location in the Hebrew. Tartarus is the pit prison. It's the Greek word for the prison, the pit prison, for the abyss prison, right? It's the bottom of the abyss, or the pit. It's the same location. Like they used it 3 or 4 different times there for the same location. Gehenna was a valley where sacrifices were done with fire, so it's not in Sheol or Hades on earth. Yeah.
It's on earth.
So I mean, what they've done is they've just artificially created these 7 locations to try and get more occult imagery into it. Um, and yes, Tartarus is used once in the Bible to refer to the location of the pit prison, but it's generally understood as sort of the Greek term. So the outer darkness is that's outside the atmosphere.
Yeah, that would be 100%. Yes.
That's the second heaven. I mean,
That's this. And
this
I don't
is
even
not
want to get into that one because
Yeah.
our next show is on the different heavens.
right. Yeah. So this is not Christian doctrine they're teaching. And then the imagery that they showed right at the beginning was complete occult imagery.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. And again, they're using these different occult sayings, imagery, and there's for many different reasons. And I believe one of them, especially with no disrespect to certain religions, it's a control mechanism of fear.
Yeah.
Fear is used to dumb you down, beat you up, because I witnessed it. I seen it with my own eyes. I was supposed to be a Catholic. My parents were Catholic. They tried to put me in communion school, and the first thing I learned within the first few moments of going to class was fear. They immediately didn't show love.
Yeah.
They showed fear. You will rot and burn in hell, and you can't. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
I vividly remember being a child to try to
Being
go to
told that.
communion school, and it was seconds in.
Yep.
And
Which-
I went home, Gary, and I said to my mom, I said, this is not for me. What do you mean? I go, no, I'm not feeling it. I'm young, so why am I not taking to this? I think within a year, I think I found, believe it or not, I found a Baptist school, a Baptist church. It wasn't that bad. It was much easier to comprehend and understand their teachings than what the other ones were trying to do. But again, not to get off and veer off topic, there's a fear that is used here, and it's trying to make it look more difficult. You just can't get out. There's no way to escape. Submit, submit. Do it our way. That's the only way. And that's it.
It's designed to depress you and prepare you to accept another message. And, it should be a crime that the 3 different descriptions used for hell were conflated into one, into the English language and into our Bibles. It just, it's trying to make sure that Christians, the meek, don't understand what's really going on. It's rather diabolical, so to speak.
It's very diabolical. It's very diabolical. And in within 40 minutes of discussing this with everybody, we've broken it down that most people who are writing this are discussing this. This is very important, guys. They are not regular people. These are from the mystery schools, ancient schools. You have to be from a bloodline. You have to be initiated in. This is to learn these type of things, and these are the ones that are implementing in books for us. Do you find that interesting, Gary?
Yeah, I find it very, very interesting because we wouldn't be being prepared or brainwashed with this if it wasn't going to be used in a significant way as we get closer to the end time.
Yeah.
Things are going to blur. You're not going to be able to tell what's right and wrong because you've been prepared and confused all the way through. They created this haze.
It's quite unbelievable what they're doing. But let's get on this. Okay, you've touched on it briefly.
Yep.
The overall consensus in every different type that you're looking at theory, there's more than one hell. So obviously this is coming from occult teachings and what they're trying to put there and their theology, putting it on you. What is your overall consensus of all of this? Is it a manipulation?
Yeah.
Is it trying to, what word am I looking for when they're trying to train you and teach you, get you to submit? They're slowly indoctrinating you for a reason. And what do you think the reason is, Gary?
Well, because they want to be able to convert you over to a universal religion in the end time.
Here it is.
and they're preparing you to understand the doctrines they're going to bring out and tell you what you've been taught is incorrect. And then they're going to use you've been taught all of this stuff that was in the churches that these occult people that we've been talking about put into the churches.
Yeah.
And so you have to understand the Bible in an interpretive polytheist way, and only the adepts understand it. So here's what the Bible really means. Instead of Jesus speaking to the meek, to the inheritors of the earth, he spoke plainly, and when he used parables, he provided the solution.
Correct.
He wasn't talking to the elite; he was talking to the meek. So, again, they're trying to move it back to the first two levels of society, and we want to understand that we don't fully understand how much brainwashing and preparation has been done and how much damage has already been done. So when you have some extraordinary event in the last 7 years called the falling away, the apostasia, breaking away of the main proponents of the church, whether or not it's the Roman church or the Protestant churches, in favor of this polytheist religion, that's how successful the Bible has told us the preparation has been.
It's some wild stuff here, guys. And again, there's a lot of fear mongering and so forth, and control. And we talked about that. And it's important that you guys are aware of this. Again, the people that talk about this and these books, they are from these special groups. Because if they weren't, they wouldn't put out this information. It wouldn't be allowed. Imagine, me and Gary briefly were discussing backstage a few certain things. On this channel's been around for 7 years or so, but somehow I'm not surpassing 60,000 subscribers. It just won't pass, and our videos will only do 10,000 or less. Recently, there's some type of stoppage of me putting and getting information out to the masses. However, other people are allowed to put this type of information or go even deeper, and they're the ones that are allowed to do whatever they want, and they get millions of views. So it's for the chosen few, isn't it, Gary?
It is. It's only for the very, very high level of depths. I think there's even, anything below adept is mundane to them. And I think in the hierarchy of the degrees, I think even first level of adept probably is considered mundane to the upper levels of the adept. So it's a very, very select few that the world that they believe in and believe that they're going to receive is for. So, but again, they're going to tell you that, well, the Bible says the same thing.
Yeah.
That, the doorway is very narrow, right, and it's very difficult to get through. So they'll harness those things from the Bible to utilize in their belief system.
It's very interesting. All right, Gary, as we close off the show, there's a question that's been asked of both of us.
Yep.
If you're willing to answer, great.
Sure.
If not, that's fine. But what is your take on this particular question? Do you believe in hell?
Not in that term, no. I believe that there's the three locations that we've talked about. So the lake of fire is real, and the polytheists want to make it go away. It's reserved for the devil. This is right from the lips of our Redeemer in Matthew 25. The lake of fire is reserved for the devil and his angels and their spirits' offspring, and those people who take the mark of the beast. So to follow that and go against Jesus, because they want to adapt Jesus into the belief system in the end time, they have to make this fire go away as an allegory. That's the interpretive approach. You have to understand how they'll make it sort of go away. So yes, I believe there's a pit prison. Yes, I believe there's the other world, Hades, Sheol, Argata, known as by 100 different names all around the world. Hollow Earth is it sort of comes out of the book of Enoch with that hollow aspects as it's described with Enoch's journey. So yes, they're all real, and they're there to help us understand where we came from, where we are, and where we're going.
Matthew 25, part 2. The wicked servant shall be cast into the darkness where there is weeping and gnashing of the teeth. So he's talking about, Gary, they're talking about the devil and
Yeah.
where they're going to go and these demonic beings.
Yeah. That's the same chapter where the lake of fire is reserved for the devil and his angels, right? That's what it's
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, the
It's
lake of
all part
fire
of that whole, yeah.
for the devil. But you notice how they're trying to indoctrinate us that it's for us to get rid of it from them.
Yeah, no, I mean there is for I mean let's be honest, for those who are not going to inherit eternity through Jesus, there's a second death at the lake of fire, but not eternal punishment. But there is eternal punishment for fallen angels, spurious offspring, and those who take the mark, and whatever other people who would be reserved for that, for the crimes that they did that wouldn't be forgiven, and those would be sins against the Holy Spirit.
Wow, there you have it. All right, Gary, after this, we have a Q&A coming
Yeah.
up. Jesse
I-
Zabolder is going to be joining us three in
Yep.
my Patreon page. Links in the description. It's a round table. You get to ask whatever questions you'd
Yep.
like within order. We'll try to answer them all fairly.
Yep.
And that'll be happening up next. So we hope you guys can join us.
Yep.
But Gary, before we get there, please share with everyone how people could follow you, support you,
Yep.
and get your books.
I will, and I just want to add a few things we didn't have time to
Yes,
get in.
please.
So, in Norse mythology, there are 9 realms. And it's important to understand that, like Midgard is the place of purgatory for humans, right? That's what they're telling you. Asgard is the home of the chief gods. You have the Vanir gods in Vanheim just below, so a hierarchy of gods here. And Jotunheim and Niflheim, this is the place of giants, and Niflheim is also a place of ice with giants, right? In the next one is Muspelheim, and that's the place of fire. That's where the reptilians are, the salamanders, the reptilians of the 4th element of fire. There's 4 groups of elementals. And then we get into the other groups of elementals for their homes are Elfheim, home of the elves. Nidavellir is the home of the dwarves, and then Helheim is hell. That was the bottom one of treachery in Dante. So all he did was create all of these allegories to create the same 9 realms that have 9 gates into each location, because all of these places are in another dimension by its reference here in terms of the portals and the gates. And the 9 gates was a movie, right?
Yes, that's right.
Right? So this is a standard, and 9 is a symbol of completion, because you start over at 0 again with the 10, right? So 1 to 9, it's very, very important. 9 is it's a prime number, and it represents 9 levels you go through for knowledge, and you learn something that is happening. Something is being taught in each of the levels in Dante's quest, but he's on his way to Satan. Right? So this is wisdom of the occult, to be raised up to be like a god, to be with the fallen angels, is the belief system there. So you also have 9, and that's the left hand Satan Western sort of view. The India, subcontinent of India, within the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, you have the city of Atma, of the body. And in that understanding in there, and that's chapter 5, verse 13, you have 9 portals of the body that things can enter in and leave on. So, and it's the eyes, the nostrils, the ears, the mouth, the anus, and the genitals, and understand there was 2 of each, like of the ears, that get you to 9. And so that again is a complete occult teaching, in terms of being able to use these portals to access the other world. So we want to make sure we understand that these rituals that they talk about with the 9 rituals to wisdom, that's how they evolve into godhood, right? Through knowledge. It's a knowledge cult. So I just wanted to sort of put that on the table there, and also wanted to note that the two main protagonists that he's kind of using or referencing, two other protagonists that are in there are giants, just like is used in other occult literature, like Rabelais did. So you have, Nimrod, who they believe is a giant or became a giant. And just as we have terminology similar to that in the Bible, and then the other one is Antaeus, which was a giant wrestler from Libya. I mean, so they are putting in their belief system within these works. We just don't understand the allegories. So if you like what I say, and if you want to support me, you can go to my website. That's the Genesis6conspiracy.com, the number 6conspiracy.com. And on that website, there's a generous excerpt of all 98 chapters of book 1, all 84 chapters of book 2. I have a small excerpt up there of the El Primo Conspiracy, which is the novel for the end time, the El Primo Conspiracy, AI's Covenant with Babylon. All of those books are available on Audible. All of those books are available on digital and in written copy. So you can get a signed copy from me from my website. All of the prices on the website are in U.S. funds. There is a U.S. page if you live in the U.S. If you're in Canada, there's a Canada page. Anywhere else, it's the international page to go to, and I ship books all around the world. And you can also link over to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and Amazon.ca for the books and the digital copies. And I didn't have a chance yet to check today, but the Audible version is supposed to be up, but I haven't confirmed that yet. If it's not up for the Primo Conspiracy, we're days away, and then I'll get all of my links updated and more information on the new book up at the same time.
Sorry about that. I was a little pause there, Gary. Yes, thank you so much for the information. And again, he'll be joining us for the after show coming up next. For me, guys, all I got to say is thank you for the support. If you can, please, everything, $5, $10, $20, $40. Lisa sent a very good amount to help out, but anything goes a long way. Go to Venmo. Use account name @George Iceman, and it goes a long way. It's helping. It's been a tough month, to be honest. So everything helps. So I appreciate all the love and support. I hope to see you guys in the after show. Gary, next month, right now, one of the topics I want to touch on is the different levels of heaven. Some say 3, others say heaven. There's different theories. We covered hell tonight, but next month we're going to cover heaven. And I can't wait to hear what you got to say about that and the different theories. Guys, it's going to be an incredible show. Hope you join us on the after show. On behalf of Gary and myself, we thank you for watching. God bless, and good night, everyone.